When Bad Bunny stepped onto the world's biggest sports stage at Super Bowl LX, it wasn't just a halftime show anymore. It became a cultural test. How big can Latin music be inside the most American broadcast on the calendar? And how uncomfortable does that make the people who still think the country only has one language, one identity, and one story? On the good side, the headline is simple. It was historic. Multiple outlets described it as a milestone for Latinos and a Puerto Rican cultural moment on a platform that reaches essentially the entire planet. And it wasn't some watered-down crossover set designed to make everyone comfortable. The performance was overwhelmingly in Spanish, because that's the actual language of his catalog, and the staging leaned hard into Puerto Rican imagery, references, and political history. That's what a lot of fans and critics loved most. It didn't ask permission to exist. It acted like Puerto Rico belongs on that field, because it does. The set reportedly included cinematic pieces like sugarcane fields, a house party, and a wedding scene, and it built toward a message about love being more powerful than hate. That kind of visual storytelling matters because halftime shows are usually remembered as a medley of hits. This one tried to be a statement, a love letter to Puerto Rico, and a reminder that America is bigger than one country's slang definition of the word. Musically and theatrically, and the celebrity-packed party vibe, names like Pedro Pascal popping up in the house party segment, helped the show feel like an event inside the event. And critically, it also landed with major reviewers. The Associated Press review framed it as a revolutionary Super Bowl moment that foregrounded Puerto Rican history and cultural references, including nods to the island's power grid struggles and the broader political texture behind certain songs and visuals. And Entertainment Weekly's review. Then there's the raw impact, huge viewership, and cultural aftershocks. Variety reported the halftime show hit 128.2 million viewers and broke NFL social media records, their framing, while The Guardian cited a higher estimate, 135.4 million, and contrasted it with the audience for an alternate conservative counter-program. The exact number depends on measurement and platform counting, but the point is the same. It was massive. Now the bad side, and this is where the criticism splits into two buckets, the conversation. People reported that the show's director said Bad Bunny refused to wear a safety harness for at least one key stunt, which sparked debate. Some saw it as fearless commitment, others saw it as reckless and unnecessary risk on live television. When you choose danger as part of the spectacle, you automatically invite the question, was the art worth the safety gamble? Second, identity politics backlash. This is the bigger problem, because it turns a music performance into a national argument overnight. The core complaint from a Loud segment was basically, why isn't it in English? Fox News summarized that many critics were frustrated that almost none of the show was in English, and it highlighted how the message at the end, the only thing more powerful than hate is love, was interpreted by some as political. The backlash escalated because Donald Trump personally attacked the performance, calling it among the worst ever and a slap in the face to the country. Once that happens, the conversation stops being about choreography, vocals, or staging, and becomes a culture war signal. People take sides before they've even processed what they watched, and the pushback to the backlash was just as loud. The Guardian documented celebrities and public figures defending the show, arguing that Spanish is a first language for tens of millions of Americans and that the performance felt powerfully American, precisely because it reflected the country's real diversity. In other words, the criticism wasn't just, I didn't like the music. For many supporters, it looked like a refusal to accept a bilingual reality on the biggest stage. Yet, there was also controversy around political symbolism and interpretation, because Bad Bunny didn't avoid politics. The AP noted that during one of the more political moments, he held a Puerto Rican flag in red, white, and baby blue, describing it as reflective of the Puerto Rican independence movement. That's exactly the kind of imagery that supporters see as courageous and authentic, and critics label as divisive. But here's the thing. The Super Bowl halftime show is not a neutral space. It never has been. It's a megaphone. The only debate is what messages are considered normal enough to be invisible, and what messages get treated like an intrusion. Add the internet rumor machine on top, and the discourse gets even messier. Entertainment Weekly pointed out that a boy shown during the performance with a Grammy was misidentified by online rumor as a Spanish-language halftime show that centered Puerto Rican culture without diluting it for comfort. It delivered spectacle, guests, cinematic staging, emotionally loaded symbolism, and it clearly resonated with critics and a massive audience. Bad. It became a political battlefield immediately. The language issue was used as a proxy fight about identity, immigration, and who America is for. Political criticisms, like stunts and safety choices, became fuel in a larger narrative war. And that's the real takeaway. The halftime show wasn't just entertainment, it was a stress test. Hated it? You probably weren't only reacting to the music, you were reacting to what the performance symbolized. Because at this point, the Super Bowl halftime show is not just about pleasing everyone. It's about